All right, guys, we got another Jeep, a 2011 3.8 liter. It's got another problem. It only happens once every few days, and it only happens one time when it does it. We got to get it figured out. It's been doing this for 2 years. Let's get into it. Got some serious backstory on this one. This vehicle was from Texas, and the person that bought the vehicle told me that before he bought it, it was a ranch vehicle. I don't know what a ranch vehicle is. If you guys do, let me know. I guess he ran it out on the ranch and did ranch stuff on it with it. I don't know. So sure, he's laughing at me. Anyway, it was traded in there, and something happened when he traded it in. Somebody at that dealership drove it and blew the engine up. That's what I'm being told. So they put an engine in it right before the person that owns it now, that brought it to us, bought it. They told him that. They gave him all the receipts and everything. He's been driving. He said about a month after he got it, he had some things start happening. One of them was randomly, the check engine light would come on. He said we'd get a bunch of codes in there. The second thing was it would very intermittently, and that's very intermittent too, by the way. And the other thing was, very intermittently, it would just not start. It would just go click and kind of make a weird kind of sound, like click, like a, not like the engine was spinning, just, it's very weird when it does it. We will not be able to show you that on here unless it just decides to do it while we're filming this, because that is so infrequent, it's not even funny. The other thing it would do is every time you hit the brake pedal, no matter what, engine running or not, did not matter, you hit the brake pedal, the ASD relay over here would just sit there and start going click, 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 click. It would just start just doing weird stuff. So that happened every single time you hit the brake pedal. All right, well, the other two things happened, they just very infrequently. So I looked at this problem here. I said, okay, well, we definitely have a problem there. That should not happen with that brake pedal doing that. Went through diagnosing it, went through all the steps of that, and found that the engine control module was causing that issue. So we put a new engine control module in the vehicle. And what I was hoping was, well, that's an obvious issue. It's broken now. New engine control module. I mean, throwing a bunch of codes randomly no start. The engine control module is part of the cranking of this vehicle. You know, I'm a firm believer, and you guys all know this when you watch our videos, that, you know, if a vehicle breaks, normally one thing's wrong with it. But remember, I say until a human being touches it. Well, this had an engine put in it. The engine control module fixed the ASD relay doing its thing when you hit the brake pedal. It no longer does that. Wish I'd have got that on video, because it was really interesting. But that part's fixed, and we're like, okay, good. Maybe we're good. We don't want to give it back to the client. He is actually on the other side of Jacksonville, so he's about an hour, a little over an hour away. So we're like, let's drive it around some. So we put our client care person in it, one of them. She just drove it. And then randomly out of nowhere, poop, all the light, the check engine light comes on. She comes back here, tons of codes in it. Codes are accelerator pedal position sensor, both accelerator pedal position sensor circuits, cam sensor circuits. What else was there, Sherwood?
AC pressure sensor.
AC pressure sensor circuit.
I think that's it.
Is that it? There's like 4 or 5 codes, I feel like. There was a couple for the
5 we just named.
There was a couple for the cam sensor, couple for the AP. Yeah. All right. Anyway, so I started looking what is common among all of those sensors, because when we start getting codes like that, you know, you get a ton of codes all at one time. You've got to think, okay, something is common between those. Now, the thing that really threw me was, you heard me say, both accelerator pedal position sensors threw a code. They don't share anything. They don't share a common anything. It's by safety, just for safety reasons. So that really threw me for a loop. I started looking at the other ones. I'm like, okay, you know, I couldn't find anything common between all the sensors that were listed in those codes. That was a little, you know, defeating. And then, of course, didn't fix that problem. It randomly, we were trying to start it, click, so it's got that problem still. What I did then was I started thinking, what is common with let's use the accelerator pedal position sensors. I mean, they don't have really anything in common, but they do have a common ground, meaning the battery ground, and they have cables that come off of it to go, you know, to send that ground to different places. So what I did was I went in and I'm doing voltage drops here from the ground side. And I'm going to show you guys something, and it's kind of interesting. I've got a meter hooked up also, and I'm going to show you where I've got this stuff. The ground for the scope obviously is at the battery ground. We can see, not a huge fan of these. Just so you guys know, back in the day, I don't know what they list them as now, but back in the day, these were on a card that used to hang out. There used to be like 10 or 12 of these on a card, and they hung in the parts store, and these were called temporary battery replacement ends. And in my opinion, they are still temporary battery replacement ends. They are emergency use only. They are not a permanent fix. So I don't like these, but they're tight, right? I pulled on them. I'm not going to mess with them too much because I don't want to fix the problem temporarily. I have the ground for the scope there. I also have the ground for the meter, for my multimeter on that same, so that you guys can have that, know that it's in the same spot, right? There is a ground cable here at the body, all right? So right here at the body, there's a ground cable. I have my white circuit on it. So my white channel on the scope on this ground at the body. There's also a ground from the battery. This cable from the battery here runs just down right here and goes to right there. And this vehicle has a massive amount of aftermarket stuff on it. We're not going to be concerned about that right now. We're just looking at what we have here, and some of it's disconnected, but we're okay with that. So we got a body ground, purple channel on the scope is at the body ground. So basically, basically from here to there, one cable. This ground over here would basically go through the body from this ground, just so you guys understand that. Come down here, we have the ground from the white, where the white channel in the scope is, comes down on this cable and on this cable. They're both connected up there. This one is going to the frame. And you can see it's not in good shape. Okay, I've got the red channel of the scope at this bolt. I've got the yellow channel of the scope just kind of in the middle of this braided wire. Just kind of wanted to see what that was. I have the orange channel of the scope right on the bolt going onto the engine block for that ground. And I have my meter on that. So this is the one that we're going to compare. We're going to compare this orange one and this red one right here from the meter. The orange is the scope, the red is the meter. We're going to see what those two readings look like. This is the brown channel from our scope connected right to the body of the starter. All right. Now, that's a lot of grounds that I have hooked up. And we want to see what happens. And when we're checking for voltage drops, we want to load them down. Can't just look at them right now. We have to, cranking the engine is the best time. It puts the most load on everything. I'm going to have Sherwood crank this engine. I'm going to hold the camera on the meter so you guys can see what the meter does, because it's going to happen just like that. It's one of the reasons why I like using a scope for this. We're going to watch the meter, and then I'm going to have the scope running over here, and we're going to we're not going to have to stare at that. I'm going to go ahead and start that. And then we'll be able to, you'll see what this goes to, and then we'll compare that again on the orange. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're going to compare to. And I'm going to show you some other big ones, some differences in a lot of different places. So let me go ahead and grab the camera. All right, Sherwood's going to, hang on one second, Sherwood, let me get the glare. See if I can't be a decent camera person here. Hang on. All right, go for it. Okay. So you guys saw that that went to 0.39. Here is the voltage drop that we see right here, raising up on the ground at the same spot where we saw the 0.39 on the meter. If we go ahead and grab some cursors and bring it up here, and even if I don't take it to the very tip, even if I just say, let's just go right there, right? We still have over 0.8. So 0.8 of a volt, I mean, and it really raises up to over 0.9 of a volt. That's a pretty big difference, which is why I like using the scope for a voltage drop. It's not that the meter can't read it, it's that it's not fast enough to read that small spike. And that's not even a really small area. If we zoom in on this, we can see that there's quite a bit of voltage drop above even like 0.7 for a pretty good bit of time. Let's go, but it gets better, but wait, there's more. Let's back out. And now let's turn on the other channels. I don't have the blue hooked up. I don't have green hooked up. All right, let's go zoom out to full again. Here we go. If we zoom in now, look at the brown. So the brown is at the starter. That's almost 2 volts. It's almost a 2-volt voltage drop right there. That's massive. That's a big drop right here. And see, really, the reality is this. Every single one of these should be on top of each other. None of them, if this was a good, you might have a slight difference just depending on the distance, maybe, but you're not going to have much. This is quite a bit of difference here. We're talking about, oops, if we grab the cursor and we go to, I mean, just look at the difference here. The white is here at that bolt, at that body, on that strap that we saw going down. The yellow is in the middle of that strap, right? And the orange is at the bottom of that strap. Look at the difference between, let's just take the red off. Look at the difference between just the orange, the yellow, and the white. Let me turn the purple off so it doesn't confuse anything. Just look at the difference in those three. Those are literally, if we look at those, where those are, they're that far apart from each other. They should be right on top of each other, and instead, it's 350 millivolts, so a little over 0.3 of a volt. This is 650 millivolts, so, right, a little over 0.6 of a volt, and this one is at, I mean, pushing up on a 1 volt, right? I mean, we're at 900 millivolts right there, so 0.9 of a volt. Those things are right close to each other, very close to each other. Definitely shouldn't have that big of a drop there. So, here's what we've got. We did some research. We don't see the ground that goes from here to the frame anywhere. We're not going to get rid of that, but there's supposed to be a cable that goes, that braided cable goes from this bolt down to that engine block. That's normal. There's also supposed to be one that goes from here up to the hood. We see it's not there at all. Am I saying that's going to cause the issue with the starting and everything to the hood? No, but if the ground is supposed to be there, it needs to be there. We're going to go ahead and replace them. We grabbed a couple of, we found somewhere online. What was the name of that company online, Sherwood? Started with an F, I think.
It starts with an F. Yeah, I'll find it real quick.
Sherwood will find it. And they make the braided grounds. They are crazy inexpensively priced.
Falconer Electronics.
Falconer?
Electronics.
Falconer Electronics. But so we're getting some sent to us. We're just going to have some sent here to put into stock in case we ever have an issue with, needing something like that. Because these are not, for us, it takes a little bit to get them in. So we've ordered them, but we couldn't get them here. It's going to take a few days. So we're going to...
They did a second-day error, but it's not going to be here for us until next week because they wouldn't come till Friday, and we're not here on Friday. So,
yeah. And we're going to go
We
ahead.
want to get this thing fixed.
Yeah. We're going to see that we've got 2 of these. Hopefully, the size of them is going to be right, where they're going to work for what we need. They got a little bit bigger end on one end, which we're going to need for the block, but we're going to figure that out.
Yeah, the Falconer ones have it where you can go like 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch.
Yeah, you can customize them. They've got them all over the place. They've got anything you could possibly want. Let's get this out of the way. So you see why I'm saying I'm not, why I like using the scope. It is not that the meter won't do it. And if you tried it several times, if you did that over and over again, the meter might catch it one time. But there might be, the problem with that is, what if you're looking for an issue that like this, it only happens every once in a while, and you're going to depend on seeing it, the one shot that you got, and the meter doesn't pick it up. It doesn't display it. That's why the scope is just better for stuff like this. This, I guarantee you, went here, right, on that stud. down to the block and up to the hood. That's how that went. So that was one cable that did that. All right, we can see they're a little worse for wear. Hopefully that will reach. I don't know. I thought it was going to be plenty long, and it's not. So they weren't long enough, sadly, so we had to wait. But we ordered those from the Falconer Electronics. They are here. Let's go ahead and open that up. Let's see what they look like. Short ordered a bunch of different ones.
We also ordered stuff that wasn't even related to this video, I think, too.
Yeah, we did. I think you started showing me stuff, and I said, "Give me that thing." And there it is. That's the thing that I wanted you to get me. A Made in America. A Made in America power strip. When was the last time we heard that? I can't cut the cord on it. You would think that they would be not difficult to make in America. Huh? Okay. Okay, the power strip. We have no affiliation, just so y'all know. We have no affiliation with this company at all. We are just, you know, we found it. And
that's much better right there, though.
definitely want to show you guys when there are options out there that you can purchase, then we want you guys to know about it. Let's take a look. Let's see what all we have in the bag of goodies here. All right, let me grab the other one up here. That looks close, maybe a little small on this end. Maybe, we'll see. What's the length look like? We'll be close. I think it'll be good though. A little shorty one. Another little shorty one with different ends on it. There's another one. That's got small ends on both ends. Okay, well that would be for the, go to the top. Take a look at the length on that one. Yeah, that looks good. All right, what else do you got in here? We got a big end on both ends and a long. Big and small, it's a little shorter. Okay, so just a little. What did you get those for?
Yeah, I just started buying stuff for just in case.
Yeah, I don't know that those are going to come in handy. Those are a little short, but hey, you know, that's a good one. All right, let's see.
He told me to pretty much buy everything that was on there.
I told you to go at it. I know. All right. Let's see first, is this size going to work for this bolt up here? I think it will. Survey says. Yep. All right, cool. Fits on there. We'll just leave that on there. That's that one. Whoop. Let me put the nut back on there. That was nice of them. Now we're going to go down. So let's see. Feed it down through there. And let's be sure it's going to reach. Oh yeah, that's perfect. That's very nice. Put that on there. I mean, I knew that was going to happen. Okay. One here. I'll put this one up here. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a wire brush. Brush that off. The brown lead is still at the starter. I have the white on the firewall on that stud. I still have the purple over here in the body, and I have the orange on the stud down low where we just hooked those grounds to. I don't have the yellow because that was just connected to the cable, in the middle of that cable. I don't have the red because that was on the frame. We're not worried about any of that. I am going to come in here and clean this up and repair this. But now I can see what this voltage drop is. I don't remember what it is. It's been a few days. But I want to see what we have in the rest of the system now when we start it. So let's go ahead, Sherwood, and start it up. All right. Now let's go to painting. Let's bring this down. There we go. All right. So now, if we blow this up, let's look and see where we're at. So again, glasses on. That one. That one, we are now, what, 8? Where are we at? 8. Let me get at the top of that one. Very tippity top of that one. 824. So we're at 0.8 of a volt there, down from, I think it was over 2, or at 2 volts. Let's turn the brown one off. Let's come down to the orange. And these are at the highest, the peak level. Again, that's where you want to check these. That's 0.65, so 0.6 of a volt, a little over 0.6 of a volt on the orange. And we go down to the white and the purple. Let's see if they're right on top of each other. Now the purple's a little, again, closer to the battery. Now we're at 0.4 of a volt, a little over 0.4 of a volt. And we are at a little over 3/10 of a volt, almost between 0.3 and 0.4 of a volt on that one. We have the brown furthest away from the battery, so it's going to have more of a voltage drop. Then we have the orange a little closer to the battery, this side of the block, on that strap. Then we've got the white up at the top of that strap. Then we have the purple. So we're working our way back to the battery. You're always going to have some voltage drop. It's just a matter of, can we lessen it as much as possible? Here's what I want to do now is I want to take, because we do have some voltage drop, 0.3, something like that, even just between here and here. And like I said, I want to get rid of this anyway. So I'm going to get rid of this battery terminal. I'm going to get these cables cleaned up into a proper terminal. And then that way, and I'm going to actually come over here and I'm going to clean this ground up just a little bit, because really that's it. Battery terminals replaced, got it crimped and soldered in this terminal, heat shrunk on there really good. Everything's great. Cleaned this one up. Oh, I need to get that purple lead back on that one. That white one's still on there. Yep. All right, so we got the purple on. We are all set, ready to go. So let's go ahead and fire it up. All right. Let's see what we have got. Window. Down. We are now down to the spike on the brown one is now just a little over 0.6. So now we're better even yet. The orange one is under a half, 475. So just under 0.5. White one is down to, what is that? 0.2, maybe a touch over that on the spike. And then purple is all the way down to 0.1. We've clearly made a massive improvement here. Again, we're going to have some voltage drop, but those are 100% way in spec. The brown one being at 0.6 all the way across on the other side of the block by the starter. I'm on the starter itself. I'm okay with that. So a little over half a volt there. I'm okay with that voltage drop on that big cable. Smaller the cable, smaller the allowable voltage drop. The PCM that had to be replaced because of the weird deal it was doing, I guarantee you that was because of the ground issue. If that thing doesn't get a good ground, then it's going to start doing stupid stuff, and it's going to burn stuff out in it. So grounds are something that's very much overlooked, and this is how you test them and how you determine, yes, they're good, don't go down that path, or they're bad, marginal, whatever, let's clean them up, and then let's move to the next step if necessary. All right, guys, there you go. Ground testing 101, we'll call it. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, leave a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, bell notification, leave a comment down below. We appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bonus update on the Jeep. For those of you that watch all the way to the end, we really appreciate you. The Jeep has been driven for about 100 miles, maybe a touch over that. And we're looking for those codes to come back. The cam sensor code actually did eventually come back, and we put a cam sensor in it. And that code has not come back again. All the accelerator pedal and all the other weird codes that were kind of, happened all at one time have not happened again. The starting problem is kind of a crapshoot because you just never know when that's going to happen. It could happen one time every 2 weeks. But we have attempted to recreate the warmness of that, because the client said when it warmed up and shut it off, hot soak, it would do that. And it has not done that again. But that was so intermittent before that we can't really rely on that. But we can rely on the random code setting, because that seemed to happen about once every 20 or so, 30 miles or so. So it's fixed. As far as I'm concerned, it's fixed. We're getting it cleaned up. And we're getting, all the rest of the stuff buttoned back up on it and going to get it back to the client. So thanks for watching.